family. So I have a question for you, and I'd like to invite you to use this as a moment to slow down and check in with yourself. Do you ever wake up feeling so exhausted, no matter how much sleep you get? And you're doing all the right things. You are getting rest, you're eating well, you're exercising, you're meditating, but it just seems like the fatigue won't go away. I know that so many of us are juggling so much right now, and it can really feel like we're always running on empty. And I want you to really take this in. Exhaustion isn't something you have to push through. It's a love note from your body. It's a reminder that you're doing a lot, and I just want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself in the ways that you need. And when we start to truly listen instead of fighting that voice, that's when we can uncover what's beneath the surface and begin to heal from the inside out. So today, let's just take a moment to slow down, to breathe, and just really take a moment to tap into what your fatigue is trying to tell you. Because you deserve rest that actually restores you, not more of the same. So I want to share something with you, and I want to invite you to let me know in the comments if this resonates. Just the other week, I hit a level of exhaustion that I just could not shake. Now, mind you, I had just gotten done with my monthly cycle. And so if you are someone who menstruates, you already know how much that can take from us. But it wasn't just a physical exhaustion. It was something that felt mental and emotional and spiritual, and no matter how much I rested, the fatigue just would not budge. Now, when this happens, many of us will just keep pushing because that's what we do. That's what society tells us to do. We think that if we just keep going, we'll eventually catch up. There's things to do, people to take care of, responsibilities that we feel like can't wait. And so we ignore what our bodies are saying. Anytime I've done this, my body has just shut down. And in that stillness, I really had to ask myself, what if my body is trying to tell me something important? Moments like these where I really learned how to slow down and listen changed so much for me. I stopped seeing exhaustion as an enemy to defeat or as something to get past, and more as a message from my body. I realized that sometimes fatigue is about needing more sleep. Sometimes it's a sign that something deeper is out of alignment. Now, I want to break this down for you because exhaustion doesn't show up in one single way. It's quite multifaceted, and it's going to show up in different ways depending on what's going on across your mind, body, and spirit. So let's explore this in 3 different perspectives. In Ayurveda, fatigue is often a sign of imbalance in one of the 3 doshas. Vata exhaustion feels like being scattered, ungrounded, or anxious. It's almost like you can't catch up no matter how much you slow down. I have definitely felt this when I'm juggling way too many things at once, and it often manifests as racing thoughts and feeling disconnected and just being physically drained despite all my efforts to rest. Pitta exhaustion is more like burnout. It manifests as frustration, irritability, and racing thoughts that just won't turn off no matter how exhausted you are. I have felt this when I am deeply invested in my work and I'm rushing to meet deadlines, and it often just feels like my mind won't stop running even when I've put everything down for the day. Kapha exhaustion is heavy and sluggish, and it kind of feels like you're wading through fog. I've had these days too when I'm just feeling emotionally heavy, and even the thought of getting out of bed feels overwhelming. Each of these types of fatigue require a different type of rest. And so the key isn't to just rest, it's to rest in a way that actually meets your body's needs. So when you are feeling drained, it's important to ask yourself, what type of exhaustion am I actually feeling here? Now, from an energetic standpoint, exhaustion can often mean that you're leaking energy. Maybe you're overextending yourself, saying yes when you need to be saying no, or maybe you're holding on to emotions that aren't yours to hold. As an empath and a highly sensitive being, I've often had times where I feel emotionally drained, only to realize that I've been holding on to everybody else's stuff. Fatigue can also be a sign that you're going through a period of deep transformation. When you're in a season of personal growth or relationship shifts or even spiritual expansion, your body definitely feels it. That's because change, even the good kind, takes up a lot of energy. So if you're in the middle of transformation as you're watching this, just know that it's okay to feel exhausted. It's not a sign that you're doing anything wrong. It's just a sign that your body's recalibrating. And then there's the nervous system. So let's say you've been in survival mode for a long period of time. You've been constantly pushing and constantly grinding and constantly operating in fight or flight. Your body is eventually going to say enough. It moves into shutdown mode, and that's when exhaustion hits hard. And this is why we can't just mindset our way out of exhaustion. You don't need more willpower. Your body needs to feel safe before it can feel energized again. I've been there too, where I've been operating in high gear for so long that I didn't even realize I was operating in survival mode until my body forced me to slow down. And this is why I always say that if you don't sit down when your body is asking you to, your body's going to sit you down for you. It's a lesson that I've had to learn the hard way more than once. And I don't want you to have to go through that too. Okay, so I know this is a lot to take in, but I'm curious to know how this is resonating. Maybe pause with me for a moment and really think about it. If you're feeling fatigued today, what does it feel like? Feel free to drop an emoji in the comments that represents how your exhaustion is feeling right now. So before we talk about how to restore your energy, let's just kind of zoom out a bit, because our exhaustion often doesn't happen in isolation. As I often like to remind people, we live in a world that values productivity more than it values rest. We live in a world that tells us to keep pushing and to feel guilty about slowing down. We are taught to push through and to optimize and to perform, even in healing spaces. And that's not by accident. Rest in so many ways has been politicized. From the forced labor of enslaved people to the demands of industrialization, our worth has been tied to what we can produce for so long now. Even today, capitalism teaches us that rest is a luxury rather than a necessity. And this is especially true for marginalized communities, for Black folks, Indigenous folks, for immigrant folks, people who have long been in survival mode. I have personally felt that discomfort with rest in my own journey, and I know that so many of you have too. So if the idea of slowing down and resting and taking time for yourself makes you feel guilty, know that it's not just you. That discomfort is part of a conditioning that we can unlearn, because rest isn't just self-care, it's also resistance. And it is about reclaiming your right to exist without having to constantly produce. So here's the thing, not all rest is the same, as I've kind of already alluded to at the top of this video. So let's explore 6 kinds of rest that your body might be craving and how each can help you shift your energy, along with some practical tools from Ayurveda that you can start using today. One is physical rest. If your body is feeling tense, heavy, or sore, sleep alone might not be enough for you, my friend. Your body could be asking for something deeper, like deep stretching, a soothing massage, or simply lying down in stillness. In Ayurveda, we believe in the power of something called abhyanga, and it's basically a self-massage performed with oil that nourishes your skin and helps to release tension. You can use something like warm sesame oil or coconut oil, depending on your dosha, and just carve out some time to gently massage it on your body. You may find that when you honor this need, you experience less pain, more energy, and a sense of vitality that you've been craving. 2 is mental rest. If your mind is constantly racing, it is time to give it a break. So you're going to want to set boundaries with social media, take quiet walks, or even do a brain dump to clear the clutter. In meditation, you can try practicing a form of concentration where you focus on one focal point. It can be something like a candle flame, or maybe even trees blowing in the wind. Anything that you can focus on to calm your mind. By doing this regularly, you'll not only experience mental clarity, but you'll also experience a calmer mind, which also leads to better decision making. 3 is emotional rest. If you're feeling emotional drain, chances are you're probably holding on to a lot more than you realize. So take time for journaling or venting to a trusted friend, or even just giving yourself permission to feel. In Ayurveda, emotional wellness is tied to our pitta, which is the fire that governs our emotions. To balance this, I recommend sipping on herbal teas like ashwagandha or chamomile, and these teas can calm your nervous system. But as I always say, if you're new to herbs or you have any underlying conditions, or even if you take medications, you're going to want to check in with an herbalist or a physician just to make sure that you're ingesting safely. 4 is social rest. If being around people is overwhelming, then it might be solitude that you're craving. On the other hand, if isolation is feeling heavy, then you may need meaningful connection. The key here is tuning into what your body is asking for. From an Ayurvedic perspective, this could mean that you're experiencing an imbalance in Vata. And Vata is the energy of movement. So to restore balance, you're going to want to try practices like walking barefoot outside in the grass, sitting quietly in nature, or spending time with close loved ones or chosen family who bring you peace. 5 is creative rest. If you're feeling uninspired or stuck, then pushing yourself to be productive is not going to help. Your spirit is craving play. So try engaging in something creative, whether it's art or music or anything that sparks joy, because this is going to reignite your passion and bring fresh energy into your life. In meditation, the practice of sankalpa can help you set a clear and positive intention. So try this to help you to tap into creativity and open up new pathways for inspiration and ideas. And finally, number 6 is spiritual rest. So if you're feeling disconnected on a soul level, then it is time for some stillness. Meditate, pray, spend time in nature, or simply sit quiet in reflection. In Ayurveda, ojas is the essence of vitality and spiritual strength. To replenish it, we practice Brahmi meditation. This is a form of mantra chanting that helps us to align with our higher self. This type of rest is going to help bring you back to your center, it's going to help ground you, and it's going to help you to realign with your deeper purpose. So the idea here is that when you begin matching the right kind of rest to the specific type of fatigue that you're experiencing, you'll notice not only that you feel better, but you're going to start showing up differently in all areas of your life. You'll have more clarity, more energy, a deeper connection to yourself, which opens up space for healing and growth to flow more naturally. So like I said, this isn't just about getting sleep. It's about learning to listen to your body and choosing the sort of rest that's going to nourish you in the deepest way. And when you do this, you're not just transforming your own life, but you're creating a ripple effect of healing that extends way beyond you into every area of your world, bringing balance and restoration to everything you touch. So, if you've been feeling exhausted, ask yourself, what is my body trying to tell me right now? And instead of pushing through, what would happen if you gave yourself permission to pause and listen? You don't have to earn your rest. You don't have to justify your exhaustion. You are worthy of restoration just because you exist. So let's take one final moment to check in. How can you honor your body's need for rest? And what's one small thing you can do to honor it right now? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. So share what kind of rest your body is craving and how you plan to nourish it. Take your time, give yourself grace, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.